Oh, cool, brilliant. Oh, nice. So what we might do is we'll start the meeting. We'll have a little swap around sort of the agendas. We're just waiting for the first speaker. But what I'm going to do is I'll just share my screen and the presentation that I've got. Okay, fantastic. And hopefully you can see that. All okay?
Yeah, I can see it very well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, great. So, yeah, we'll make a start. So, welcome to our first sort of hybrid in-person and online seminar. Thank you so much for joining. As mentioned, we are both here in person across Birmingham University and Leeds University, but also online as well. So the seminar outline today, we were going to have an introduction from Julie, but I think she's just connecting, so she might join later. But in the meantime, what we can do is we can go to our next part, which is introducing essentially STLE UK student chapter. So introducing who we are, and then we will proceed to sort of meeting the 2025 committee. And then along with meeting the committee, each of us has a flash presentation. And then after this, we will be doing a little activity. So we're going to be doing this word cloud activity. What does tribology mean to you? And then at 2 p.m., we will be joined by Dr. Steve Carter from Leeds University, who'll be doing a careers talk. And then finally, we'll be announcing the annual conference that we have this year, which is TriboLink 2025, which will be happening in Southampton. So before I begin, I'm just going to double check all speakers are here for the second part. But yes, I'm not too sure where Julie is at the moment, unfortunately. So I think what would be best is, because some of the speakers for the second part aren't joining until about 20 minutes time. So what we can do is we can actually do this word cloud activity that we've got just as a first icebreaker. So once again, I'll just share my screen. And what you should see is essentially, what does tribology mean to you? What you can do is you can just scan this QR code. And essentially, you should just be able to input a word or a couple of words, and it will generate a word cloud, just as a kind of a fun icebreaker activity. And it should pop up live. Yeah, cool, brilliant. I'm just going to input mine as well. Yeah, cool. This is really, really nice. So I think at the moment, lubrication seems to be the one which has the highest number of entrants. And then we've got friction, which I guess is quite obvious. Wear, surface, interface, contact. And then I think we've got some specific ones. So soil removal, this is interesting. So I believe someone may be doing maybe some sort of geography related to tribology. Slipstick, creaminess relationship, that's really cool. So this is really, really nice. Oral processing, brilliant. We'll wait one more minute in case anyone else has got any more entries, but this is really, really nice. Feel free to speak now, but out of interest, what sort of everyone studying in terms of tribology? So personally, I'm doing oral tribology, so I look at a lot of food actually. So food science is my background, and I study sort of oral tribology and looking at relationships between texture. What about anyone else? What's sort of the things? What you're studying? Don't be shy.
Oh, we have someone saying personal care products
care. Yeah.
and hair care as well.
Okay, cool. No, nice. So what I'm hoping to see from this presentation and from this hybrid seminar is that we should see that friction is everywhere, quite literally. So all the way from food to hair care, and the fundamental engineering. So it's really come sort of a long way in the past sort of 100 years. So it's really, really nice to see tribology is literally everything and everywhere. So that's really, really great. Cool. Thanks very much for that little activity. So what we will do now is I'll just share my screen in the main slides for today. And I can talk a little bit about STLE in general. Cool. So who are STLE? Who are the UK student chapter? So essentially, we were founded in 2022. So it's only been 2.5, 3 years, very, very new sort of society. And it came about because there was a disconnect in the tribology community in the UK. In general, I think groups kept to themselves, and there wasn't much of a connection between the university and industry as well. So essentially, we are connecting students and early careers researchers working in tribology and promoting ongoing research and careers in the field. So what this society is we target all research groups and industries working in tribology and lubrication in the whole of UK. This means multiple universities across the UK, but as well as multiple industries as well, working in tribology. And these could be industries from personal care to engineering, all the way up to food. And essentially what we do is we do a number of events throughout the year, this society. And these take place in such as annual conferences, smaller events, and also digitally as well. So for those new to us, we had our first ever annual conference in Birmingham in 2023. And then last year we held our annual conference in Leeds in 2024. And then we are planning to hold our TribalLink 2025 conference this year in Southampton. So what these annual conferences kind of look like is that we have these 2-day conferences, and what really makes us kind of special and unique is we have such a careers sort of specific angle at these conferences. So we focus on careers fairs, careers talks, and also industry talks as well. So very, very relevant to what you do after your PhD in the tribology field. We also have a lot of representation, so we have a lot of companies that you've probably heard of or use the machines from, for instance, PCS, Anton Parr, and Phoenix Tribology, amongst others. And also you would expect, as from a conference, various oral presentations, posters, also invited speakers, and also socials as well, such as drink receptions and conference dinners, and also awards as well. We also host a number of smaller events each year, including seminars. So this is our first one, but we plan to host a couple of other seminars throughout the year, based around, it could be specific tribology areas, or other careers seminars, for example. And also what we're doing this year is we're getting involved in conferences. So there's a few conferences this year that STLE UK student chapter will be at and promoting as well and helping run. So this we've got 3 currently lined up. So Food Colloids, for example, in Bristol. We've also got Tribo UK in Birmingham, and also the Leeds Lyon as well conference in Leeds. So we should be at these conferences as well, which is really great. And then also industry bits as well. So we're currently looking at how we can try and get people to join us for industry visits to various sort of tribology companies. And for those who have been with us for a while, you probably know we're quite active on digitally as well. So this is a link to our website. For those who don't have a website, we have a really fantastic website. We've got all sorts of events, an events page, so where you can find out about our hybrid seminars and our annual conference. This is just an example for last year's conference page. We also have a tribology events calendar to sort of keep in touch and see what's going on in the UK. We've just had, sorry to interrupt. We just had Julie come back and say that she'll be joining shortly, which is really great. So after this, what we will do is we'll pass to Julie after the flash talks, which is really good. Sorry, just some technical issues outside. Cool. And then what we also do is we have a really fantastic newsletter as well, which comes out to your emails, and this basically tells you sort of what's upcoming in terms of tribology events that month, but also a bit about what we're doing and some really cool kind of fun sort of tribology facts as well. And then finally, LinkedIn is probably our biggest way we digitally advertise the society. So we post some quite fun facts about tribologists. For instance, eggs was our recent one at Easter. But also we post sort of events that we'll be at as well, and also these seminars as well. So I highly recommend if you're not on our LinkedIn, giving us a follow, and that's how you can stay in contact with the most up-to-date things that we're up to. So let's have a look at the team. So the STLE UK student chapter team composes of quite a few members now, so 11 members in total. So we have the leadership team consisting of myself. So my name is Ben, and I'm the chair of the STLE UK student chapter for 2025. We have Runway, we have Lucy as also the vice chair and treasurer and secretary. And then we've got a very important team as well, public relations, events, communication, and advertising, who all help to make this society phenomenal and running. And they're really like the gears in the society. So we've got a really, really fantastic close team that helps run this society. Also exciting, we've spun across 4 different universities now. So we're getting a lot of sort of representation from across the UK, which is really brilliant. Each year as well, we also advertise positions that are available. So this is useful to know at the end of this year. If you're interested in joining the committee as well, you can join, which is, and we'll appreciate any help as well. It's also probably worth mentioning that all of us are ourselves either students or early career researchers. So it could be PhDs, postdocs, but also working in industry, perhaps in their first few years of working. And we are volunteers as well. So I just want to say massive thanks to everyone in the team as well for dedicating sort of your time for this society. Okay, so I believe, so the time is 1:22, and I'm just going to check to see what the update is, and checking if everyone is available to present before we begin. Julie, I'm just checking. Are you available?
Yes, I'm available. Sorry about my late joining.
Oh, that's okay. So what we'll do is before we introduce the STLE UK committee and our flash presentations, Julie, we're going to hand it over to you. If you could chat about sort of the STLE, where it came from, and I know you've got a presentation, so I'll let you share your screen.
Okay, perfect.
Julie, do you
You
want
want me to start now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
But- hold on, let me get back to this. And where is share screen? I'm sorry, I'm looking for share screen. I apologize. I usually do Teams meetings, so I'm not seeing share. Oh, here we go. Share. It's on the bottom, not the top. Okay. Share. Sorry about that. I'm hitting share. Okay. Can you see my screen now? Okay, this is STLE actually just this year celebrated our 80th anniversary. So we were founded 80 years ago by people interested in tribology and lubrication and the interactions between tribology and lubrication engineers. So it was started as that, and right now it's the premier society serving the needs of more than 15,000 individuals and 250 companies. So we are now, our primary focus is obviously our education, networking, and conferences. And we're really working this year on getting our name and building our brand to the younger generation. We have a lot of our membership is growing. So we really do appreciate the UK student section because we believe, the future is this younger generation of students and early careerists who, are building their career and their knowledge and bringing them into the fold of the society and the great value that you can all bring to STLE. And we are here to help provide resources and things for you as well. So I'm gonna go I created a PowerPoint. Okay. First page, sorry. I'm a little clunky this morning. My apologies. So this is STLE. Oh, I'm gonna go to slideshow to make it better. So STLE's mission is to advance the science of tribology and practice of
We
lubrication.
can't see your screen, sorry.
You cannot see it.
We can see your browser, not your PowerPoint.
My screen. Okay, hold on. I apologize about that because it says you're sharing your screen.
I'm wondering if you minimize your browser, that might do something.
Okay, let me see if I can do it. Says my screen sharing is paused. I'm going to stop sharing this, and then now that I'm on the PowerPoint, see if I could start sharing. I apologize. I'm part of the older generation that's not as tech savvy as everybody else.
No, it's absolutely fine. I think I had to watch a couple of videos to learn how to do Zoom as well, so it's no worries.
Share. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay. Again, my apologies. I'm a little bit behind today, but anyways, I'm glad to be here and I appreciate your time today. And again, I appreciate the UK student section and all the volunteers and the efforts. You're definitely an example of how we would like to see other areas in our community grow. So I just wanted to start by giving you a thanks and appreciation. So the STLE mission is to, advance the science of tribology and practice of lubrication and engineering. The vision is perfecting motion, and we do that by connect, learn, and achieve. So I will share some screenshots of things. At a glance, we have about 27,000 members. We have 196 corporate members, and a corporate member, they get a membership, one individual membership, and then they get like a couple of annual meeting registrations and conferences and other things that are kind of grouped into that. So they have a corporate rep, and then that rep can distribute some of those other registrations to anyone within their organization. We have over 70 countries representative, and just as your student section is, a lot of our committees and are, they're all volunteer driven, and those committees, we have an education committee, an annual meeting committee, a lot of technical committees, and those all drive the education and the information we're putting out there. So there's about 20 technical committees, and they do a lot of work. And then we have 16 local sections. Most of those, you're the only international section and the only student section. So again, you're really a trailblazer, and we appreciate that. Here's kind of our section membership. So, you can see this map doesn't show you. I have one that does. So anyways, these are the different sections in STLE. STLE really, I've got to move something. STLE, our learning pathways is what we call it. And you can find live resources on specific topics that you may just, need to stay up on. The management system features courses and live industry insights is one of our member only benefits, and that's held monthly, and that's very valuable. So you want to check out our events tab on our website to find out which industry insights are coming up. And, if you have ideas for industry insights or a webinar that you would find, interesting, or a need that you think is out there that you can't find from STLE, you can always reach out to our Director of Professional Development, Bob, and, work with him. He'll kind of connect you or say, yeah, we've got this, tell you what we do have. And if there's something we don't, he can work on seeing if that's something that we can help with. So I will share his information at the end. I'll put it in the chat. Again, I just talked about this industry insights. It's a virtual series and a member only event. So as an STLE student section member, you're invited to these, and it's about a 1 hour industry insight presentation. See if I could go. I don't know if we have an upcoming one, but you can go to our website and find out what the past ones were or any upcoming ones. They're a great little 1 hour of information on a specific topic. We do have a Perfecting Motion, and it's a podcast. Some of the episodes, are here. Tribal chemistry, green chemistry. We've done some fun ones too about hiking and the shoes and in the mountains. So, there's a mix of really technical ones and also some fun ones. I noticed your post about the eggs around the Easter time, and I really enjoyed that because I don't think, especially me, I work for the STLE, but I'm not a tribologist or an engineer. So when I first came, it was hard for me to understand, but tribology is literally in everything. So I appreciated your post, and we try to do some of those as well. Like I said, we had one on hiking. I think we had one on shoes. So there'll be some, really technical ones and some other ones that are a little bit more light, but show the connection to tribology. We have our award-winning magazine that's printed monthly. You could get that in print or digital. Non-members only get digital, so members get the option of both. And that's been rated our #1 member benefit for the past few years. We do offer special reports. The last two were sustainability, and the other one was knowledge transfer challenges in the lubrication industry. And that one talked about the younger generation and filling the pipeline of new and talented people in the industry. I think the next one we're doing is about motor oil sports motor oil. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if any of you are able to, but we have the upcoming annual meeting in just a little over less than a month now. If any of you have had the opportunity to be at one of our annual meetings, it's a large event. We have about 1,500 people registered. We have over 500 technical sections covering all different topics. Innovative exhibitors. So there's an exhibit hall with exhibitors, and they will be showcasing the latest products and services. There's a lot of networking opportunities with industry leaders and peer experts. I don't know if you are attending and have not yet signed up, there is a new member and student reception that will pair. We're going to do a trivia this year. It should be fun. So we're pairing students with a member leader, and then we'll do some tribology trivia and make it fun, and hopefully get people there to interact with industry leaders and with other students as well. New for this year, we're having a welcome reception that will be on the exhibit floor. I don't know if that means a lot to anyone who hasn't been there, but the exhibit hall is large. And then we'll have a little reception there, and we'll have like food and drink stations. And we have 3 new tracks: the aerospace, rheology, and sustainability in motion. So those are some exciting new things that will be showcased at this year's meeting. And then we do have a fun run walk. I don't think I shared a slide, but I've talked before to some of the members about our next gen. We've recently launched our next gen fundraising, and it's a goal for us to raise money, and that money will be used for various things. I could show that slide a little later. But the fun run is, I believe, Wednesday morning of the annual meeting, and the money, it's a $25 registration, and that goes to the Next Gen Fund. Some of our upcoming events besides annual meeting is the TFC conference, the Tribology Frontiers Conference. That's going to be in October at Aragon National Laboratory in Lamont, Illinois. I think I put here, this connects, and it will show some of this is so pretty student focused, and they've called for abstracts and things. So I just wanted to see if we had. Here are the call for presentations. So you could look at that and see if there's anything interesting or anything that pertains to you and you'd like to present or just attend. Again, that's at in Illinois in Lamont at the Aragon National Laboratory. Let's see if I could get back to my PowerPoint now. One moment. Yeah, I'm still here. Hold on. I apologize. I'm really. Okay. No, I gotta get out of here.
I'm just checking, Julia. Is that the end of your presentation? Is that correct?
I think I just had one more slide, and that was about e-mobility conference that will be in November, and that's in Detroit. So I could share this. I'll put this whole presentation along with Bob's information. If you wanted to talk to Bob about some other things, I'll put that information and a copy of this slide deck in the chat.
Okay, brilliant. No, thank you. Thanks a lot, Julie, for joining as well. Out of interest, where are you joining from today? Is it in the US?
Yes. I'm in the US, a suburb of Chicago.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what time it is there, but I really appreciate you coming and giving a talk today.
Yes, absolutely. If you have any questions, I am, the staff liaison for our section. So I'll also put my information there, and I'm, available anytime to discuss ideas or answer any questions you may have.
Okay, no, brilliant. Thank you so much. Right, so I'm just going to now.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
brilliant. Yeah, and then I will now continue and share my screen for the remainder of these presentations. So what we're going to do now is, as I mentioned, we've introduced the committee for the STLE UK student chapter. And now what we're going to do is we're going to give, each of us are going to give an introduction to ourselves and also talk a bit about the tribology that we do as well. So I'm going to start. So as I mentioned, so I'm hosting today. So my name is Ben Q. My whole background has actually been in food science. Surprisingly, there is quite a lot of sort of engineering, chemical engineering, and also tribology is also is actually all about in sort of the food that you eat, which is really, really fascinating. So I study oral tribology. I'm a postdoc researcher at the University of Leeds. So in terms of what I do is I kind of look to see how we can relate friction coefficients to essentially texture and what we eat. And in doing so, the project I've been in the past year has been if we can actually replace sensory panels. So can we predict what people can essentially feel in the mouth before they eat it by measuring friction as well as sort of rheology and other attributes. So I do this because we're making this really, using this really cool 3D sort of printed mold, and we make this these tongs, which are very similar to the elasticity, wettability, and the topography of our own tongs. And these are the materials that we measure friction coefficient on. So as I mentioned, one of the big things that I'm investigating is working with Innocent Smoothies. So you may know them from the UK. So Innocent want to produce a plant protein product. However, plant proteins are actually quite high friction if you were to measure these on the tongue. And this is opposite to if we have dairy proteins or meat proteins. It's a really big issue for plant-based proteins and alternative proteins. Some of you may be able to associate with this. For instance, if you had a dry plant-based burger versus a juicy kind of a burger, this is quite a common phenomenon. So and what I'm basically doing is helping Innocent to predict what ingredients can be put in their products without necessarily people having to taste them, and fast-tracked product development, because this takes up a huge amount of time and it's very expensive. So I'm looking at fast-tracking this whole product development for foods using plant-based proteins. So as I mentioned, our aim was essentially to almost replace a human sensory panel, which is really, really cool. By measuring friction coefficient, you can measure friction, get 3 repeats within an hour. A sensory panel would take you weeks, months, or even a year to get this amount of data that you can get done in about a week of measuring friction coefficient and tribology. So what I measure, so I'm looking at all sorts of different plant-based protein powders in solutions that mimic sort of a smoothie. So they're about 5% protein, very simple solutions. And I measure the friction coefficient of all these different proteins: pea protein, chickpea protein, whey protein, and these are all protein powders. What I do with friction coefficient is I relate that to sensory. So I have a sensory panel. I ask them to rate powder, granular, thickness, creamy, astringency of these solutions. And I can relate the friction coefficient to these attributes. And they are very highly correlated. So we're getting things such as 0.84, even at 0.9, sort of in terms of the positive correlation. Essentially, that means high friction, you tend to have unpleasant astringency, roughness in the mouth, powderiness in the mouth, and lower friction is associated with fattiness, creaminess, and is actually much better. Essentially, what I can produce is all these friction coefficients of all these plant protein solutions, and be able to tell you which ones will be better to use in that application. So, for instance, the best friction the lowest friction coefficient were sort of pea protein, chickpea, fava, and the worst examples were such as rapeseed protein, red lentil protein. And this is really important in sort of the industry and transferring to alternative proteins, because they're very, very challenging to work with, and there's so many new plant proteins out there, and this is really useful in fast tracking that. So next we move on to Runway.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ranmai. I'm the vice chair this year, and I'm at University of Birmingham in the formulation engineering CDT. And I kind of work on soft tribology, oral, just because I'm working with dental plaque as like my soil that I need to remove. So I'm currently in my third year in my program, and I'm working in collaboration with Procter and Gamble. And this is my third year on the committee of the STLE student chapter. I've stayed this long, so it's quite a great place to be. And it's been really fun to see it grow from 3 people to now there's over 10 of us. So my research is mostly in soft materials, so it could be any sort of artificial gels or agars, or you can also think about plaque that forms on your teeth. So plaque is a biofilm. Biofilm is a sticky matrix that consists of some bacteria which are free floating in your mouth. And then once they find a space that they can attach to, they will start producing a matrix which will be quite sticky, and you can't really remove it without using some chemical or mechanical action to actually disrupt the outer layer of it. And once you need to study how hard or how sticky your biofilm is, just to make sure that you are kind of screening for products that can be used to disrupt the matrix that has formed, which is what will make which will help the company to make products that can target different ages of biofilm. So you can think of plaque, which is kind of soft and like you can remove it easily at home. But then when you have the formation of tartar over time, if your plaque is not dealt with, you need to go to the dentist and try to get it removed with specialized tools. So what I am studying is looking at 3 different length scales. So I'm looking at nanoscale, microscale, and macroscale. So I'm looking at kind of like molecular interactions on the very, very small scale to see what are the like governing forces which are actually like present at the surface of your tooth, and then the biofilm itself. So in the interaction between those two substrates. And then I'm looking at microscale, where kind of I'm increasing the size. So I'm looking like how a structure would deform at like maybe let's say the millimeter scale. And then something more would be like looking at actual removal of plaque from a surface. So think about like creating like a setup where you can have some sort of soil on a surface, and then you can use, in my case, a toothbrush to actually remove and study like the changes in the friction that are caused because of the presence of this film, which is, it could be plaque or it could be tartar in case of your teeth. So that's kind of it for me.
So I'm going to introduce Lucy because Lucy can't be with us today, but Lucy has kindly provided a video, so I'll just play this.
Hi everyone, thank you for attending our seminar today. My name is Lucy Luvikova, and I serve as the treasurer and secretary in the chapter. I was a second-year PhD student in the formulation engineering CDT at the University of Birmingham. My research is in collaboration with Procter and Gamble and focuses on cell-coated enhancer formulation. Cell-coated enhancer is a coating that is used in tomato dry sheets, which are used by many consumers worldwide in order to prevent static of fabrics as we handle dry them. While the SFP main purpose is to provide anesthetic properties, it also provides secondary benefits, such as improving fabric feel and relative fabric scrutiny due to friction. This is thanks to the SFP coating forming a lubricated layer on fabrics, which reduces friction between fabrics and dry drum wall. My project investigates different formulations of SFP, their microstructure and physical properties, and how these relative transfer the coating onto fabric. Unfortunately, I was unable to be in today's seminar in person, but I hope to see you all at our future events. Thank you.
Okay, so we next move on to Laura.
Hi everyone. I'm Laura Buccoli that I work with as a social media representative, and now it's like I work as a lead application scientist in Croda. I just want to give can you? Oh,
Yeah,
thank
sorry.
you. Sorry. No, nothing. I just want just to show a bit of background, just because I'm moving a bit, just to show that in our group there are a bit of everything, from student, from PhD to postdoc to people that as me is an early stage of career. So my background is chemistry, all done in Italy, and then I move in England to University of Birmingham to start my PhD, and in which do activity of a teaching assistant. And then during writing period, I start joining as a postdoc in the University of Birmingham, in which I start my first approach with the tribology, with a different application, and I join also as a social media representative. And last year in November, I start a job as lead application scientist in Croda. Can you move on? And of course, I cannot speak more in details about a specific project. I did a different project during my postdoc, and now I am a lead application scientist with application in home care, and I just want to give an overview about what you can find the tribology a bit in home care detail, from home cleaning, for example. When you think about cleaning a surface, you can determine the coefficient friction between static and dynamic, and this way you can have information about how much is the cleaning process, and what you can use most effective to cleaning your surface, that can be a surface of your home or every type of surface actually. Another application is something that you do every day without realize that is care about the tribology, that is the evaluation of softness of fabric, that actually there are different ways to measuring the softness. One way is affecting with the tribology relationship, that can be very interesting, and can be it's very interesting, especially in industry, because it gives you a quantitative way of something that usually is very subjective. Another application, it's the wrinkle resistance and the easy ironing, how many times you wash your dress, and then of course the deformation of in your fabric, and the removal depend of the force, and again the tribology is matter also this time. This is just a brief introduction of what I do and what it means the tribology and how much is present in my everyday work. Thank you.
So next we introduce Bethan.
Hi, I'm Beth. I'm the events rep this year and working on organising the 2025 Tribal Link Conference. I did my undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering, and I'm currently a tribology material science engineering PhD student at the University of Southampton, working on solid lubricant coatings. So solid lubricant coatings emerged as a promising alternative to traditional liquid lubricants with in mechanical applications regarding their potential to provide both ultra-low friction and low maintenance with reduced emissions as well. There are already examples of these being used in space applications, but we're looking to create coatings that perform well in humid environments as they do in vacuums. We're working on a particular group of materials called transition metal dicotyledons, or TMDs, which have been proven to perform well in vacuums, but again, less well in humid atmospheres. Working specifically on coatings that are made by magnetron sputtering, which is a form of physical vapor deposition of molybdenum disulfide in combination with a doping element. In this case, in this work, it was with carbon, which creates coatings that are fully amorphous when deposited, but with the application of sliding forces and friction generation through the tribometer use, are thought to cause and allow for the crystallization of the TMD components when freed from the carbon matrix, which forms, I think, a tribo layer of this crystalline material, which is responsible for the low friction coefficients that we see. So in my case, we deposit the coatings, then use the tribometers to both study the evolution of the tribiological performance of the coatings and also generate the crystalline change in them that we then go on to study with various crystallography means. So yeah, in this case, we found low frictions or frictions as low as 0.035 with this specific coating, and also found evidence of these crystalline regions, which was good evidence. So yeah, that's what we continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. So Pascal can't be here, but Pascal has kindly sent a video. Pascal is our newsletter representative, and here's his video.
Hello everyone, my name is Pascal Atsukumi, and I'm currently a second year PhD student in manufacturing and materials at Frankfurt University. So my current research is on metallic glass value and its industrial scalability. So part of it actually lies, in surface engineering and materials tribology. Metallic glasses have been established to offer outstanding tribological advantages, and this includes enhanced wear resistance, reduced friction, and even superior corrosion protection. So these qualities make them ideal for critical applications in sectors where material durability directly influences safety and performance. I currently serve as the newsletter representative for STLE UK Student Chapter. I joined this vibrant community in December 2024, that was last year, after being inspired by the insightful STLE UK Students Conference held at the University of Leeds. As the newsletter representative, my role actually involves facilitating knowledge exchange and actively engaging our community. And my goal is to deliver timely and insightful content through our newsletters to foster collaboration and strengthen our collective expertise in tribology. I encourage all members also to actively participate by contributing articles, which you see in the newsletters, research highlights, and event updates. To conclude, let me use this opportunity to encourage participants in this seminar who are yet to identify with this amazing community to try and join us. Together, we can actually further reach our vibrant tribology community. Thank you.
So next we move on to Dr. Tucha. I'm just checking if Tucha is. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to turn on the audio and video. So, yeah, my name is Tuğçe, and I'm sponsorship representative for STLE UK Student Chapter. And yeah, I've been working for strengthening, but well, recently I just completed my job over there. So, in my previous experiences, I done some tribology. Well, I completed PhD in chemical and biological engineering, and then I did masters in tribology of surfaces and interfaces. The tribology areas that I covered were like different parts. Like I worked on hard surfaces and soft matter as well. For hard surfaces, I worked with metal contacts, such as aluminium and steel, and it was actually quite similar to what Beth was mentioning. It's basically metal coating with some additives like molybdenum or soft metals. It was to see the self-lubricating properties on the contacts. And for soft matter tribology, I have done some formulation related tribology, such as skin tribology, and also tribology in everyday life, such as like when you clean with surface cleaners or like, other kind of type of cleaner detergents. Actually, when you wipe the surfaces, you apply kind of tribology. So this was also the other kind of tribology that I studied. So they are quite a bit different, but they were both interesting in the areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Dr. Nicole Rossick.
Not doctor yet, working towards it, but thanks, Ben. I hope you can hear me because my connection is a little bit unstable. But yeah, so I'm Nicole. I have just completed my PhD at the end of September last year, and I'm in the writing up stage now. So I have also started working in the industry. So I currently work in a company that sponsored my PhD project. And I work in the personal care team. And yeah, just to tell you more about what my PhD project was on, it was about investigating physical chemical characteristics of artificial sebum for sustainable cleansing. So we were basically trying to understand the different physiochemical properties of artificial sebum. And in order to do that, we have developed this this method called micromanipulation. So basically, it allows you to, oh yeah, it's like I have a few animations there. It allows you for in situ measurements, controlled depth, and it's a versatile technique that allows you for like measurements in ambient and water. So it consists of a force transducer, glass bead, glass slide holder, and a piezo stage. And the way to prepare the sample is basically have like a glass slide. So if you just press next. Yeah, if you have the glass slide with polyester film and then the sebum layer on top of that, and then we have the output tube that kind of comes into contact with the surface, and it performs a scratch with different applied forces, different lengths. Like we can control a lot of things. And then basically the results that you get, if you press next, the results that you get is the force against time. So basically from this we can really calculate the cohesive energy of our sample. So it can be used for things like artificial sebum, but also for like other soft materials. And yeah, we can basically, it's the cohesion is the energy required to scrape off a layer of sebum, and is a result of the effect of a particle and particle matrix interaction. But in general, in my project, we have evaluated the effect of different environmental conditions on the artificial sebum. So the effect of temperature, humidity, air pollutants, and so on. And this was the main tribology part of my project. So yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Nicole was our past year's chair as well, if for those
Yes,
joining.
I have been moving throughout. Like I was with the student chapter from the very beginning when we first started. So I was the secretary and treasurer. Then I moved on to the chair, and now because I moved into industry and I'm more doing a 9 to 5 sort of job, I took on a less responsible role of the communications rep. So, but yeah, still part of the STLE student chapter.
Yeah, it's really good that Nicole's stuck around. Been very, very useful, very helpful. Especially coming from a chair now, it was
Yeah.
good to know what I was signed up for.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next we have you.
Hi everyone, I'm Yu, and so if you can move on to the next slide, sorry. Yeah, so I'm the second communication rep of the year, just that's Nicole. And just to give you a bit of like information, what communication reps is that we initiate communications with industry and academia, and we build and update key contact database for the STLE UK student chapter. And we share interesting papers and tribology news that you will find in the posts we post. And we also, well, I also design and update the official website. So recently we added functions such as like tribology calendars that you can find, or like a seminar or a conference in tribology all over the world from our calendar. You can find that in the events tab in our website. And yeah, so about myself, if you click on it, thank you. About myself, I was doing PhD at University of Birmingham at the Formulation Engineering CDT for 4 years. And I, just like Nicole, we're cohorts are in the same year. I just finished my PhD and moved on to the industry. But during my PhD, I got into know hair tribology. So I was working with P&G on hair conditioning formulations without silicones, but natural-based formulations. So what we want is to replace the silicone oils in the formulation with natural oils or their derivatives, and we want them to have the good deposition on the hair and good lubrication, especially on damaged hair. So to do that, we started looking at how hair surface is damaged and why do we feel a higher friction and a coarse perception when the hair is damaged by using techniques like AFM and surface energy measurements, etc., etc., and to compare damaged hair to virgin hair. So then we understand how the surface changed and what kind of chemicals would like to be deposited on the surface. And then moving on to the oil part, we started with understanding the oil lubrication with mimic materials such as PDMS and silicon wafer, and to build models for the lubrication. And then, based on different combing scenarios, such as in the left one, you see that's a rubbing friction representing experiment, and then at the right-hand side is the combing scenario representation. So based on the experiments, we look back to the model to find out what lubrication regimes we are at when we're combing our hair or touching our hair in different ways, and to find out what kind of lubricant will be the best candidates for the formulation. And for the deposition part, I used AFM to measure the thickness of the oil on hair. And in this case, we're looking at the oil by their composition, and then how those composition affects their properties such as surface tension and rheological properties such as viscosity, and how those properties affect the deposition and the lubrication of those oils on hair to be able to give us an idea how to improve those oils further on. And so that is basically what I've been doing during my PhD. And so I've finished my lab work, and now I'm working at PCS Instruments, one of the sponsors for our conferences 2 years in a row. And I'm currently the customer and test engineer at PCS. So, which means if you are if you're interested in any of our instruments and you want to get some tests done, you're gonna speak to me. So yeah, like that's basically the whole story of me and tribology. And yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So next we have Cece.
Hi, yeah, hello everyone. It's great to be here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. So it feels like I'm among my people. My name is Jinxi Li, and people call me Sissy. Yeah.
Sorry to stop you. I just hear a bit of background noise.
Yeah, I'm in a coffee shop. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that's okay. No worries.
Is that
We'll bear with you now. That's okay.
Is that a big problem? I mean.
No, it's fine. We can hear you more clearly than the noise. That's okay.
Sorry
we
about that.
No worries.
Yeah. So I am currently a second year PhD student in mechanical engineering at the University of Birmingham. I'm also a member of STLE student chapter at the moment. So I got into my current research because of a growing global issue that is kind of hard to ignore, the textile waste. So according to the recent reports by organizations like the Alan MacArthur Foundation and the news like BBC and The Guardians, we know that millions of tons of textile waste end up in landfills every year. And not only a tiny fraction is effectively recycled. So this poses not only environmental but also economic and a very big social challenges. So should we move on to the next page, please? Yeah, so my research sits at the kind of like an intersection of tribology and textile recycling. Specifically, I'm looking at how tribological methods can be used to characterize the recycled textiles. So not just in like in terms of surface wear or the roughness, but also in how these materials interact with human skin, can be kind of benefits on characterization of the materials. So the goal is basically to expand the way we characterize post-consumer textiles by adding tribological perspectives, and also to explore how the recycled fabrics perform in the real world, kind of skin contact scenarios. And we know that the sustainability shouldn't come at the cost of comfort, of functionality. So I think there is still a lot of kind of untapped potential in connection textile behavior, kind of post recycling with skin tribology in it. So and hopefully one that opens next doors for both sustainable material science and the user-centered design in the future. So yeah, that's a bit about me. I'm working to give recycled fabrics a second life. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks so much, CC. No, that's really, really interesting and very important as well. So our final committee member is someone called James Morley. So James is our industrial representative. He can't be here today, but essentially who we have in the committee is we have an industrial representative. So he's from Phoenix Tribology. And James essentially helps us connect more to sort of the industry side of things. As I mentioned, our society is all about combining universities, researchers, but also working with industry as well. And that's what James does, and he helps us connect. Cool. Oh, and yes, and then so that's it for the flash presentations. So I'm just going to check now and stop sharing my screen and see if Steve is available to do his careers talk. So I'm.
Hi there, Ben. You okay? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Yep. And I believe you're sharing your screen, I believe.
I'm gonna try to share a screen, Ben, because usually I've never shared a screen on Zoom, only on Teams. So I'll press some buttons and we'll see what happens.
Oh no, brilliant. So far, so good.
Okay, we'll see what happens then. So this should be good. Hang on. All right. It says here that I can't share, apparently.
That's it. I think I've just sorted the issue. I just found out that I was still sharing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you some sort of admin permission. So try now.
Okay, let's give it a go. See what happens. Let's see if it will go to the window that I want it to go to. No, not really. No, hang on. Can you see that?
No. So another way of doing it is if you go to share screen, and what you can do is maybe if you go to the entire screen.
Okay, let's give that a go.
And I'm hoping.
Right. What can you see now, if anything? Apart from my ugly mug, can you see anything now?
So we can now see your screen. Yep, that's brilliant.
And you can see that. Look at me, I've got a PhD.
Yep. And then if you just go into this, the slideshow, that should be all brilliant.
Right. Okay then. So you okay with that there? Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. No, brilliant.
Right,
Thank
you. Okay. Thanks for this then, Ben. So just to introduce myself, my name is Steve Carter. I'm a careers consultant at the University of Leeds, and Ben has asked me to do about 15 minutes on, I suppose, really just trying to get you to think about. I know that some of you are doing a PhD, some of you that have moved on to, by the sounds of it, postdoctoral research, and maybe even into the workplace itself, but trying to get you to think about translating or thinking about your PhD and research skills for employers. And one of the things that, if I just think a little bit about my engagement with employers that recruit PhD graduates, is that they have a number of things that they've sort of like said to myself. So I'm going to say a little bit about that. But also one of the things that they've often said to me is that your first job will not be your last job. So hopefully some of the things that I'm going to say here, I know that some of you have already gone beyond doing your PhD, but it is one of those things that you're probably going to have to do it again at some point in the future, hopefully at a time of your choosing when you want to move careers. So before we start, I just thought I'd run a few stats by you, just so that you're aware of some things about PGRs and how they get on once they've graduated. So I know that a lot of PGRs start their PhD from the viewpoint of wanting to become academics. I certainly started my PhD and did my PhD with that certainly as a career option. However, it's very competitive. I'm not trying to put anybody off, but it's just to be aware that really only some 20% of PGRs become academics, which means that 80% have to think about what else are they going to do. And it sounds from the conversations that I've heard that a number of you are thinking about going beyond academia as a job. Again, that's not to put people off if they want to do that. The other thing that, again, speaking to employers that come to, we do a PhD specific careers fair here at Leeds. Speaking to them, 81% of recruiters don't care what discipline you've come from. Now, again, listening to some of your presentations and again, listening to some of the things that some of you have gone on to do, there are going to be certain job roles and certain employers that want your specific knowledge and the kind of research that you have been doing either in your PhD or postdoctorally. But there'd be certainly nothing that would prevent anybody, I think, on this call from doing a whole range of jobs with a whole range of employers. And I'm just going to pick one off the top of my head. Just for example, the civil service came to our PhD careers fair last year, and they were talking to PGRs from all disciplines, arts and sciences, but also STEM disciplines like yourself. And this is a very least specific stat. So 95% of our PGRs get a job once they've graduated. And I think looking at some of the data that I've seen beyond Leeds, that is pretty much the case for PGRs in general once they've graduated. And if I'm again thinking about STEM PGRs, that's probably a bit higher. They do STEM PGRs tend to be more employable than those from arts and humanities or social sciences, which is what I'm from. So those are just sort of like a bit of a starting point. So, like I say, the title was, look at me, I've got a PhD. And I think the thing that you need to be thinking about is that you want employers to be looking at you and looking at your skill set once you are starting to look for jobs. And again, that can be academic or beyond academia. And they're going to be asking these kinds of questions, really, in general. So this is a totally non-specific question. They're going to want to know why you want to do the job that they've got on offer. So you do need to be thinking a little bit about, why do you want to do it? They will typically ask these questions. So we're talking to an employee the other day. That's the kind of thing that he said that he wants to see in any candidate. Somebody who's enthusiastic about their company and their roles. And then, of course, they want to know, again, can you actually do the job? And so this thing about you being consciously aware of the skill set that you've developed throughout your research career so far, whether you're a second-year PhD student or, as I say, somebody who's gone into postdoctoral research. It's also important because you will be competing with other PGRs. Not just PGRs on this call, but beyond this call. So it's one of the things that you are going to be wanting to be thinking, how can I stand out from the competition? And it is this thing about you starting to think, what have I actually done whilst I've been doing my PhD? So you might want to start to think a little bit about how you've developed in your PhD journey. Just for example, you know, what is the difference between you now and what were you like when you sort of like complete maybe your undergraduate degree? So my guess is that you're all older. Hopefully you're more mature, but you will also know that things can go wrong and can deal with problems, and that you're more resilient. And again, these are the kinds of things that employers like to look for. Can the person sat in front of them at an interview deal with the, you know, let's face it, problems that are going to happen in the workplace? Can you show them that you've got the resilience and the problem solving skills, and I say the maturity to deal with problems when they are up and coming? Because certainly what I've found is that employers, when they're speaking, when they're recruiting PGR graduates, they are kind of like hoping that you've got a skill set where you can get on with the job. Yes, they'll want you to check in with them, but they're going to be wanting somebody who can do things on their own initiative, really, which, let's face it, it's what you've been doing during your PhD. You might also want to consider what your motivations are. Again, employers want to know why you are interested in them. So a question that you might want to ask yourself is, why did you do your PhD? Why did you commit to 3 years looking at a particular thing? And I think that listening to one or two of your presentations, that a number of you did mention your interest in the specific research questions that you have been presenting on today. So thinking about what your motivations were to do a PhD, you need to then be thinking about, well, do I want to continue doing research? And how does this apply to that particular employer? Why do you want to work for them? And they will, in one way or another, during the application process, try to tease it out of you, either on an application form or most commonly in an interview situation. And the other thing, like I've already touched on this, what have you learned from your PhD? Can you start to think about and articulate things that are specific from your PhD for that employer and for that job role? And you being able to make that link and articulate that link effectively. That's something that employers tell us that they want to hear from candidates. And if you've maybe want to think a little bit about what you've learned from your PhD, there is something that's called the Research and Development Framework, which is at the moment being revised. And this is from an organisation called VTI, who specialise in researchers and researcher skills. And I've sent these slides on to Ben, but you can just Google VTI and you can find out this Research and Development Framework. And it just gives you a bit of a roadmap as to what people either have developed or should be developing from their PhD. Most people tend to concentrate on the blue quadrant in the top right-hand corner, knowledge and intellectual abilities. And of course, that is a big thing that you do need to think about. But you might also want to think about your personal effectiveness, engaging, influencing and impacting. What is the impact of your research, or the potential impact of your research? And if you want to be a researcher, and certainly if you're thinking about becoming an academic, well, all of those 4 quadrants are important anyway for any job. But we're thinking about research governance, how you organise your research. Have you been involved in doing anything like writing bids, etc., etc.? So you'll be stronger in one or two rather than in all of them, but you might want to think a little bit about, have I developed some of these skills, and do I need to work on any moving forward? And you might also want to think a little bit about what you've learned alongside your PhD. Now, I'm aware from Ben, and I think Nicole was at an event in Leeds as well, who was one of your speakers. And I think that one of the things that you might want to think about, are you involved in anything like this? Because if you are, employers like to see that kind of thing. It sort of like shows to them that you've got other strings to your bow. So if you can think about what you've been doing alongside your PhD, absolutely fantastic. And I know that one or two of you have said that you've been sponsored by maybe an industry, an employer of some kind. Again, if you're doing something like that, these are all things that you can build into any application that you might have moving forward. And so this slide just represents that. Have you been doing any leadership positions? Have you been taking part in any successful funding and grants applications? Doing any publications? Those top things are the things that a lot of people think about when they're doing either the PhD or doing postdoctoral research. But again, are you involved in any of these things that you might not think are important, but could well be very important to employers? And whoops, it is it. I don't know if I've gone too far there. No, I haven't. So you might want to start to think a little bit about your goals. You know, so if you do want to be an academic, and I think I heard somebody say that they're in the second year of the PhD. I'm not saying you do want to become an academic, but if you do, you might want to take advantage of the university environment that you're in. Speak to people in your research group, speak to academics, find out what kind of things you need to do that will help you to get there. If you want to go beyond academia, then do any kind of networking that you can. We haven't got time to go into any depth here, but LinkedIn is a good way of doing that. Think about what interests you, what your strengths and weaknesses are. These are all ways that you can think about how you're going to get to where you might want to go. And then you can start to develop those skills and experiences. Try to know what's out there. Like I say, if you want to go into academia, you're in the perfect environment. If you're doing either your PhD or postdoctoral research, you can do some networking and find out what's going on in the HE world. But that also applies if you're going beyond academia. So you might want to follow the business news. What might be affecting the sectors that you want to go into? So just for example, are Donald Trump's tariffs maybe affecting some of the organizations you are interested in? Follow employers of interest, especially on the social media, because that is where you'll find out more about them. And you will also, that's where the jobs will be advertised. So those are things that you could be doing if you're not doing them already. And do some networking. Like I say, LinkedIn, going to any conferences, take advantage of any of the kinds of things from what's going on within this sort of like research group that you're currently part of, the interchange of ideas that you've got between the different universities, and maybe getting involved in doing Ben's job when he's had enough of it. And then start to tell the employers a little bit about why you are the man or woman for the job. And you can start to do that by thinking about your examples, context, action, and result. And that will sort of like tell little stories about the skills that you've developed from your experiences. And that's all that stands for, as I say. It's, you know, what the situation was that you developed a particular skill in what you specifically did and the impact and effect of your actions. So we're thinking about this is, what skills do you have? What skills did they want? Do you have them? If not, are you going to do something about it? But like I say, importantly at the end, can you articulate those effectively in writing and verbally? And here are just a few people that have done tribology in one way or another. I went on to LinkedIn, nicked a few pictures off there, and these are some people that have done PhDs in your area and gone on to do different careers that are very much, I think, when I was looking at their profiles, very much related to the research that they've been doing at university. So, like I say, I'm not going to go into any detail. It's just to prove to you, if you weren't aware already, that you're doing something that employers do want and desire as you get maybe to the end of a PhD, or if you are thinking about going beyond postdoctoral research, working for an outside organisation. So I would take advantage of any support services you've got. I'm from the University of Leeds, but I've looking at listening to the presentations, Birmingham, Southampton, you'll all have versions of the university's career services and research and development teams. At the University of Leeds, it's called ODMPL. No idea what they might call it at Birmingham, Southampton, but you want to take advantage of those. I certainly know from some of the courses that Leeds lay on, they're very, very good, and some of them are very, very researcher focused. And these are just some of the further support that you could get, that you could sort of like look at. So VTI, like I say, they're very much a research-orientated website. And for those of you that wanted jobs in an academic setting, you're probably aware of it, that jobs.ac.uk is a very good website for that. So that's the end of me doing any talking. You'll be glad to know. But I'm more than happy to field any questions if people want to do that. It looks like this stunned silence, Ben. So
thanks so much. No, that's really, really brilliant. I mean, I guess I think it's really important what you said about employers that maybe they don't necessarily care about the specific area that you're doing your research in. So, and I think for tribology, it's everywhere. I think no matter what field, the fundamentals are going to be the same. So it's really, really cool. And again, thank you so much. That was really, really great advice. I mean, it's fascinating what you shared, the circular diagram, and I'm almost going through that. I need to tick off those boxes.
It is, yeah. And the other part of it is, once I've said this, I will leave you alone and you can get on with it. I really would, for those of you that are, whatever career you're contemplating, try to make as many contacts as you can with relevant employers. And like I say, if you wanted to remain in academia, you're in a great place. Just find out as much as you can, and then you can think about ticking off the right skills on that diagram. Okay, then, right then, Ben, I will leave you to it, and I hope the rest of your meeting.
I think we just got one question, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We have a person.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Thank you very much for the talk. I was wondering, so what I'm finding, well, I'm on my last year, so I'm starting to think of this transition from PhD to mainly not academia, but more like industry.
Yeah.
And I always find when I do the job search, there's loads of kind of graduate opportunities, but obviously, even though you're just graduating with a PhD, you're not quite the graduate that they're looking for. They're looking at just a bachelor graduate or maybe a master graduate. So it's very hard to find opportunities other than full scientists. So it's kind of like in between. There's a point in between of inflection between the 2 points, the 2 job offers. Or how you suggest tackling that?
Right. Correct me if I just want to clarify something here. Then, like you say, certainly a lot of people that come to our general careers fairs are just after, like you say, something with a bachelor's degree. Obviously, you're wanting something that's beyond that. So this is where you do need to do as much networking as you can. And if you've got, say, like maybe identified some employers that you might be interested in working for, this is when I would be using things like LinkedIn, finding out who's there. If it's an alumni from your university, that's great, but don't worry if it's not. One of the things that you want to be thinking about is getting in touch with them, do a bit of research, and be asking somebody who's there, who's probably at the level that you are at, or near enough, about how they got into their organization. Now, what you're going to find, it's like anything else. There's loads of employees out there that do take on PGRs. So some of them, not many, but some of them do have actual PhD entry points. So you do need to be looking for them if you can. If they don't, then you are going to sometimes. So this is how an employer. And so I'm sorry about that. I might be going off on one here. A bank, in this particular case, who came to the University of Leeds and said, we can take on tomorrow some ridiculous number, some 100 or so computer scientist PhD graduates. And we thought, well, we can supply you with them. So we said, where do they sign up? And they said, oh, they apply through the graduate scheme.
Okay.
And we said, well, that's a hard sell to a PGR who's done another 3 years, accumulated all these skills. And his reasoning, and this might have changed now, because like I say, I'll come back to what I'm going to say in a minute. What his reasoning was, somebody like yourself would go in at that undergraduate level. He says it's then up to the PhD graduate just to sort of like deploy their skills. And I don't know if you can see my hand. What he was saying is an undergraduate will sort of like, they'll progress, but it'll be slightly. But in his experience, somebody with a PhD, theirs is almost vertical because they are deploying their skills in a way that an undergraduate can't do. And of course, they've got a greater knowledge set as well. Now, we thought that was a very unsatisfactory answer, but we can't do anything. We can't change their policies. What you might want to do is, which university are you at?
I'm still in Birmingham, but I'm a Leeds graduate as well. So I got actual use of your services still.
So I don't know if you're aware of this then. Right. So we have a PhD specific careers fair. So the people that will look at our careers fair will just be wanting to take on PhD graduates. So things are slowly changing, but what I think that in the first case, don't wait for their policies to change. If you identify employers that interest you with the kind of research or jobs that you want to do, don't be afraid to network with them. And you say you're in your second year, is that right?
No, my last year.
Oh, your last year. Yeah. Well, start to do it now.
Yes.
Start to do that now. You don't need to go crazy, but I'd just start to put feelers out. It's this, like I said in the talk, they like to see motivation. So my guess is you committed yourself to 3 years of doing this PhD. You must be interested in it, and you want to see if you can continue that enthusiasm over into any conversation you have with them. Follow them on social media, and then when any opportunities come up, you can get in there and start to apply. So sometimes what they'll look for, this thing about what's the, that gap. Sometimes what they sometimes ask for are what's called experienced hires. So your experience will be your PhD and your research, and it's how you then articulate and sell that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Steve.
Appreciate it. That's okay. No worries.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello. Thank you very much, Steve, for your talk. So I want to ask something else. So, like for example, I'm foreign, and as for foreigners, it's a bit harder to get jobs in the UK because you have like sponsorship problems, and most companies get repelled by that. Do you have any advice on that, or like anything that we can try to get ourselves more employable in order to go, get rid of that barrier?
Right. Okay. So I could be wrong here. When I was, I think I heard you. Are you postdoctoral? You're beyond the PhD?
No, I had done my postdoc already, and right now I've been working for a company, but I was made redundant so recently. So I'm a foreign, and I'm trying to look for a job.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what is it that this is one of the things that you might want to think about here then is what were the circumstances that let that organization employ you in the first place? So what was there? Did they sponsor you?
Yeah, they sponsored me.
Right. Okay. So this is the hard bit. I don't have any nice, easy answer for you here, I'm afraid. But what you might want to try to do here is, when did you get made redundant?
A month ago.
Right. So I would go back to them and just sort of say, look, you know, okay, you've been made redundant, which is never nice because I know what that's like.
Yeah.
But you might want to see if there's anybody else, any other employers in their network that employ people. Okay.
Sorry?
That sponsor international students. And the other thing that might be of some use, and I'll just say might be, just bear with me. Right, okay. So have you heard of an organization, a website called Student Circus?
No, I haven't.
Hang on, let's just see. So can you see my screen now? I'm not. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Right, okay. So Student Circus is specifically for, as you can see, international students.
Yeah.
So what I would do here is you need to set up your own account with them. And what you can do is you can look at the jobs, as you can see there, for sciences and engineering. This is where you're now going to have to be, and again, it's easy for me to say, so I do apologize for if this sounds is just making this sound easy. What you're going to find if you click on there is you'll be able to see all these different companies and organizations. So all these organizations that you can see flashing across are employers that sponsor international students. So what you might want to do is start to, like I say, make your own account, start to look at some of the employers that are on there. And again, what you'll find is most of this, not all, but most of it will be aimed at undergraduates. However, if you know, so let's just take, I'm going to take an employer off of the top of my, all right, let's just take BDO there that are going across. Now, BDO, you might not be interested in them, but I'm just going to use them as an example. Or Jaguar Land Rover, maybe. So BDO are a finance company. But as you can see, they take on international students. What I would be doing if I was you is when you find one that you are interested in, like I say, they'll probably want undergraduates, but it's again, you starting to network with some of the people there that you are going to let them be aware of your talents as a PhD student, and also making them aware that you've also got some industry experience, which you obviously have. So that's not an easy. That's not like I said. That's not an easy thing. Necessarily, you know, it's work on your part. But I think it's a good way of on Student Circus. All of the employers on here, they're all interested in taking on international students. So even if they don't have any jobs specifically for you, you know who they are. And certainly if there are companies of interest to you, they will have social media, they'll have LinkedIn pages, and you need to then start to getting in touch with them, because the networking is something that does work. It's a bit hit and miss, but it does work. I got my job here at the University of Leeds after doing some work experience at Leeds Beckett University. So I know that's not a nice, straightforward answer there, but does that make some kind of sense?
No, it was really helpful. I didn't know the website, so it's something good to look into for me. Thank you very much.
That's okay, no worries.
I mean, it's not easy, but obviously any
It's
help,
not,
you know, any
it's
kind
not
of
easy.
knowledge
Yeah.
at this
It's not, I agree with you. It's not easy. And it does mean, you know, rather than say, you know, a student like a UK student that would just be able to maybe apply for a job, it's not it's not easy for international students in that respect. And I'm just before you go, I'm just going to see if there's anything else that I've got. There is a government website as well. Just bear with us. Right, okay, so there is this also. Again, I'm going to try and share my screen. So can you see that?
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
Have you tried looking at that?
Yeah, I tried to look at that with the same word combination you entered.
Yeah.
Some of the jobs actually says, like when you enter, because it's like a Google kind of search, I think when you
Yeah.
enter some of the those job description, it says it doesn't, but some of them says it does. So
Yeah.
depending on the station.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And again, in some ways, this is not a very helpful website because, as you can see here, a lot of the jobs are for, are not for even students, let alone PhD graduates. But again, it's maybe worthwhile having a bit of a look on there from time to time.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got any more questions?
Thank you very much.
That's okay, no worries. Right then, Ben.
No, thank you so much, Steve. That was really brilliant. The advice. No, I really appreciate it. And this will be super useful for anyone. Like this is recorded, this presentation, this seminar today. So this is really invaluable. So super. Thank you.
Yeah. And like I say, for those of you at Southampton, Birmingham, or whatever, there should be, roughly speaking, an equivalent of me in your universities. Okay, Ben, I'll leave you to it.
All right,
Okay,
thanks a lot, Steve. No, brilliant. Thank you. All right, so now just to sort of finish off the final parts of this seminar. One last. One last thing to mention is, and interestingly enough, related to careers. So, for those who are looking at careers specifically in tribology, this might be something really invaluable to attend as well. So we have our TribalLink 2025 conference this year. It's going to be October the 27th to 28th. The QR code is an expression of interest. So what you do is you just sign the QR code or go to the form, and you can just input your email. And what we're doing is we're just currently setting this up. So maybe in about a month's time, we'll be able to contact you and tell you more information about registering for the conference. But essentially, we have sort of careers fairs. So all of these tribology-based companies, potentially over 10, coming, and you can talk to them and chat about your work, and potentially they have jobs available. In fact, actually, we've had 2 people from attending these past events who have secured jobs through the society. So there's definitely potential, and it's really useful to attend. And of course, on top of the careers fairs, we also have more careers talks, more advice, industrial talks from tribology-based industries, as well as oral and poster presentations from students and academics as well. And one final thing is that we are sort of non-profit, so it's very affordable in terms of registration. So for instance, last year it was only £35, which was a registration fee. So so we're officially announcing now that we've got this conference at the end of this year. So stay tuned for more information. And that brings us to the end. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. All I can say is we're pretty active on LinkedIn, so that's the best way to see what's happening with the society. But also you can check out our website as well. So thank you again for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.